Welcome back to the Kent Randall Platoon podcast. I'm James White along with Warren Herring and Sojourn Shelton. Obviously, we got a big dub, Big Ten win for the Badgers this past weekend. But before we even jump into that game, just got to check in and see if you guys were tuned in to any other college football. We had some pretty good games this weekend. We had, one of our good friends, Kendrick, his Miami Hurricanes.
Ooh, that boy was sick.
They tricked the game off at the end of the game. Then should have took a knee. Decided to hand the ball off with like 30 seconds left. The back fumbled, but not even just that. The back fumbled. Then they let them. Then they let them get the ball on offense. They drove it with like 60 yards, a big play. I mean, it was a whole lot of bad football. I'm sure the defense probably wasn't expecting to be on the field at that point, but. Even at the back fumbles, defense you gotta make a stop. But
you gotta make a stop. You can't let them drive 60, 70 yards.
What, they had like 2 seconds left?
Bro, it was something insane. They scored with like 2 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, it was.
And it's
just
not
drop
like
everybody back.
Fam, but it's not like they gave up a red zone touchdown. They gave up like a bomb,
bro. Drop everybody back. You got 2 sacks, bro. Play Hail Mary, victory defense.
Victory defense, right?
Keep everything in front.
Game alive. Just get out of that game alive, bro.
Yeah, you got Oklahoma, Texas. That was a good game. Texas went down. I thought Texas was probably like the best team in the country at the point based on how they beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa, but. It looked like Oklahoma's starting to get it back going. They lost that game last year against Texas 40-0 to come back, Red River rivalry, whatever they want to call it, to come back and win that football game. That was a dope game to watch. Ohio State,
it was a lot of
Louisville beat Notre Dame.
Louisville beat Notre Dame, which was
Louisville
crazy
was
too,
looking
but
good.
Back to that Texas and Oklahoma game, bro. It was very good energy. I watched that game on like ESPN has like a side show with like Pat McAfee. He's commentating the game. Yeah, and he had Trey Young on there. Oh, yeah, Baker was out there turned up. Like it seemed like a really, really good game and a really good atmosphere to be around. Like that's what college football is about.
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
In that game, they always got alumni coming back to those games. Man. That game means so much to those programs. And we'll kind of get into that. It was rivalry week for us, but we'll jump into that a little bit later on. Alabama, they just knocked off Texas A&M. They had a little scare there too.
Yeah.
They don't look quite as dominant. Michigan dominated Minnesota.
Michigan looked good, bro. I can't even lie. Michigan looked good.
They obliterated Minnesota. Then Ohio State, they beat Maryland. I was hoping, Maryland had the opportunities in that game. I don't know if you guys saw that one. They really tricked that one off, in my opinion. But you got to give credit to Ohio State winning that victory. But in a bigger sense, in the Big Ten picture, just to look at the Big Ten West right now, Wisconsin, we're in a real good spot at this point. Yeah. And like I said, we haven't even played our best football yet. And the rest of the Big Ten West, aside from Iowa, they're still trying to figure it out. So to me, this is a big couple weeks for us, especially this one right here, which we'll dive in that a little bit later. But the Big Ten West it's not looking like the East. I'll tell you that.
Big Ten, we struggling on the West, man. And then I think what's so crazy is you look at the other side, and it's like all the powerhouses are on that side between Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. I mean, man, we got to pick up the slack on our end. Yeah, we got to pick up the slack on our end and just make our conference look better. That's something that's extremely important when you get into, late in the season and you get into moving in December and January trying to get in the playoffs, right? Yeah. Strength of schedule, how your conference playing. And, right now we lacking the ball on our side as far as having that argument with, just trying to continue to win and hopefully, make a push to the college football playoffs. We'll see. Yeah. But we just got to continue to handle our part, right? Just keep winning. Just keep winning, Wisconsin. Keep winning.
For sure. What's your thoughts on the West right now, Warren?
Hey, it's ugly. Bro, it's ugly. I mean, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. West. I mean, it looked good for us. I mean, obviously, we got a big rivalry game this week with Iowa. So I think that might determine it, who takes the West. I mean, obviously, our destiny is in our hands, is in our own hands, as they say. But, I mean, at this, it ain't pretty.
Advantage though,
but we got to take advantage, right?
It's the last year of the West and the East, so it's going to get even tougher. Going on moving forward. This is now the top 2 teams we playing in the Big Ten championship, regardless of East, West, all that stuff. So
That's crazy.
It's gonna be a lot more difficult going forward.
Big 25 next year.
So how does that work? Like from the standpoint, we could get Ohio State and like let's say Ohio State and Michigan are both undefeated.
Yeah. We get Ohio State, and then one of them lose that last week, and they
and they still the top 2 teams. We get that.
See them again next.
You remember how
crazy?
Yeah. You remember how the Big 12 used to be when they didn't have a when they didn't have a conference championship?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but we still have a Big Ten championship game though.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So still, though, I mean, which would be kind of weird to see like Ohio State, Michigan play the last week, one of them lose, they play the Big Ten championship next week, which I mean, be a little strange, but I don't think that would just be the case because there's some firepower coming to our conference, so it'll be interesting. But let's jump into the Wisconsin game. Obviously, like we said, big win against Rutgers. Obviously, I thought it was going to be a challenging football game. It was. I thought the team was ready to play. They came out, obviously stopped the run, all that good stuff. But I thought this would be kind of not like a trap game, but kind of see where we're at game. We really struggled, to stop the run, coming into this week. And this team was gonna run the football as much as possible. So we had 2 weeks to prepare. I thought the team, came out, played a good football game. I would have loved for them to, finish the game off probably a little bit better. But that's kind of nitpicking when you're playing Big Ten football. It's not going to be pretty. You're not going to win by, 30, 40 points every week. So what was y'all initial thoughts on the victory?
Always, I tell people all the time, it's hard to win, at this level, right? So any dub is a good dub, right? But there's a lot of things that I think that, we can continue to get better at. Obviously, we ran the ball well, which we kind of knew we were going to do, right? That's our bread and butter. But man, we gotta get that pass game going, y'all boys. Like, I don't know, what else more that we have to continue to work on. And like I said, we've been talking about it for a while. Man, there's building chemistry with between Tanner and the receiver group. But I just know how important that's gonna be for us down the stretch. Because a lot of these teams are, we say it week after week, they're gonna stack the box, and it's putting so much pressure on Braylon, right? And he's done a tremendous job, like even this past week, rushing for 100 yards, like that's a good day on the ground for him. Yeah. But it's gonna continue to get tougher, and it's gonna be tough this week, right? We're facing a opponent that James as a running back. This one of them weeks where it's like it's physical, man, and it's. It's you got to put your big boy pants on both sides of the ball. So I just want us to. I know if we can pick up the slack in the pass game, we'll have so much more success against defenses and teams, and we'll be able to see. I don't want to say those blowout games, but we'll be able to win games more comfortably. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
But I think overall, I mean, it's a great performance. We're going to hit on it, but our defense, they played well. We was going to play a team that we knew was going to run the ball. They was going to stick to their bread and butter. And, we was able to handle up on our side of the ball, just both ends on the football.
What about you, Juan? What was your initial thoughts on the win?
I'm going to say I enjoyed it. I mean, any Big Ten win, regardless of how you get it, it's going to make you happy. I mean, like Sojourn was saying, every week, anytime you play a Big Ten team, it's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be easy. So to see our guys fight and to have some character about it too, like to play, especially in the first half on the defensive side of the ball, just like we held the team to 62 yards rushing total. Like their leading rusher had 18 yards or something like that on the ground.
That's impressive too, bro.
Like that's impressive. Like that's very impressive. And you talking about a team that loves to run the ball. You force them to throw. You had you making the quarterback, what's his name, Gavin Wimsatt, beat us with his arm. So. And we played very well on the back end, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I mean, I was very excited to see us come out with our, our second Big Ten win. Makes us 2-0 on the West, as we talked about. But I think overall we played well. Definitely got to get some stuff going on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, it was nice to see us being able to, be carried in a sense by Braylon. I mean, that's something that we've also been wanting to have all season, to be able to lead with our backs, because those are our most talented players. So to be able to see Braylon have that game, hopefully that builds his confidence as he continues to move forward, because we know what he can be, and then hopefully that again opens up some more for the pass game, because we are going to see teams stack the box. Now this is the time where guys need to have had that chemistry. Like it can't be like, okay, now we got to get comfortable. Like now we got Iowa, you got Ohio State, you got Minnesota later in the year too, which that's always a tough game, and not to count out the other teams that we're playing, but it's got to be like now. Like now is the time the chemistry has to be built, so that way when guys are stacking the box, we can start beating them one-on-one matchups. in the air.
100%. Now let's jump into the X's and O's. So Warren, I'll go to you first. Like we just talked about it, the run defense. Like I said, that was kind of my big question mark coming into the game, whether we'd be able to stop a run heavy, football team. I know we're accustomed to seeing that from us at Wisconsin, but to go out there and stop a team who's going to run it as much as possible, not put too much, weight on their quarterback's shoulders. I wonder what the intensity was going to be like from us to start the football game. So how impressed were you with the defensive front seven, everybody, how they kind of, embrace their role? I'm sure it was talked about all week. We're going to have to win the line of scrimmage if we want to win this football game. So what impressed you about the performance from the run defense?
Definitely the stoutness, man. We were very stout up front. Like, I take my hats off to the guys up front, the big three, our big 3D linemen, not to leave out our outside backers, but resetting the line of scrimmage, being gap sound, playing with your hands. I mean, like you allow linebackers to run free. You can make plays yourself. You get what I'm saying? But I was very impressed because we were so dominant up front, especially coming off of a game where, 2 weeks ago, we got ran on by Purdue, right? Yeah. To be able to turn around and have a performance like this with possibly a better running team, I mean, really impressed me. I mean, you could really see guys getting after it up front and exerting that dominance that we're used to seeing with Wisconsin football.
Most definitely. Then I got to go to you, Soj. I mean, our guy, from the crib,
man,
Ricardo Harmon,
bro, balling out.
Ricardo, we see you, man.
These last three games, boy got 4 picks, so that's kind of how it goes. It comes in bunches, pause, doesn't it? Those picks,
clip that.
Those picks come in bunches. When the ball comes your way, you got to take advantage of it. So, what could you kind of describe to the listeners? How he made that interception. It's a heck of a play.
It's a heck of a play. It's literally beautiful. And then if you understand how hard it is to stop those pick situations at the goal line, you see it nowadays on Saturdays and Sundays when teams that get into the red zone, that's their bread and butter, right? Trying to get guys to run into each other, those pick routes. And I mean, just shout out to Ricardo, bro. It's a very intelligent play and a football play from him. Recognizing the pick, passing his his receiver off, and jumping that route, and for him to go 96 yards, I mean, bro, and the quarterback too. Like the quarterback looked like he was, he could run too, and he could catch him, man. I just, like you said, they come in bunches, and he's making those plays. Like so much of it is, just being in the right position and being smart and knowing teams' tendencies and what they're gonna do. And he's been doing that. Like even against Purdue a couple weeks ago, he had an interception on the post where he let the post go and he saw the crosser coming and he passed it off and he jumped the crossing route. So he's making very intelligent and smart and big plays, and we're going to continue to need him to make those kind of plays because people don't understand how important turnovers are, especially when you can score a touch, you can take a pick six back, and we needed that. Like, I think looking back at the game now, like when you see the final score, is like how our offense was moving at the time, and then what the score ended up being at the end of the game. Like, that is such a huge play because without that touchdown, I mean, I think we looking at being maybe up 3 or in a dogfight, right? Like, that was a huge play. But, shout out to Ricardo, shout out to our whole defense. Our whole defense is playing right now, especially in the secondary. They're playing together as a unit, and they're playing really tight, close-knit football. And that's what you're going to need, right? You're about to start facing teams. Here it is. You got a facing Iowa traditionally. They run the ball, but they've always had a decent passing attack where they could hit plays here and there, and they're not looking too far ahead. I mean, we got Ohio State coming up, which we know they got some dogs on their receiver room. So we're gonna have to continue to play this type of ball where we're recognizing it and we're making the plays that come our way. But Ricardo, man, you doing it. We see you. Me and Fayon, a former Badger D back. He made a comment, on Twitter, and I had to chime in, and I'm telling you, man, we definitely see you, man. You're doing it big for the crib, man. Just continue to have fun and play ball and make those plays.
Yeah, 100%. Like you kind of talked about, it was 10-0 at that point. It's probably like 30, 40 seconds left before the half. Mm-hmm. So, Rutgers, they're probably thinking either we walk away with 7 or 3 points. For him to make that play, to put it up 17-0, I wouldn't say like it completely, put the game away, but that really gave us that confidence going forward that okay, the game is truly in our hands right now. So whenever you can make those type of impactful plays, I'm telling you, like for me as a offensive player, I'm always scared of DBs who can take the ball away. It's cool to swat the ball away, be there and make those plays. But if you got a defensive player who like, man, I'm not sure if I want to throw his direction, he going to intercept it and possibly take it to the house, I'm telling you, he could truly, eliminate one side of the field. He's going to have a lot of confidence going forward. Like we said, in a couple weeks when we get to Ohio State, you're going to have to be playing with a lot of confidence because they're going to throw it around. They got a lot of playmakers, big bodies, short, little bodies, little jitterbugs, 6'3" guys going up to get it. So when it comes to that point, I think the defense will be, right where they need to be. I kind of hit on the running game a little bit. I love what I saw from the running game. I know Braylon had the one fumble in the first half, but he kind of bounced back from that. But like I said, the passing game wasn't quite there. How it has been the last few weeks. But I said, whenever you got your backs to lean upon, it's going to play dividends for this offense. I think the more we can get Braylon going, the more he's popping off those 5-10 yard runs. He had the 18-yard touchdown. I think it'll open it up more for the passing game. We had our shots. Once again, this time it wasn't Skylar's fault this time. He got behind the defense again this week. I thought Tanner underthrew him. So whenever they can kind of get on the same page and we make that just the one play game. Like if he throws it, deep and Skylar goes and catches it, man, the defense is going to start backing off a little bit. And those little in-breaking routes and all that stuff, they're going to be wide open. But you got to give credit to Rutgers defense. Like early on in that football game, there was nothing wide open. Those dudes, right there at the point of catch point, they got their hands in there. So they got a lot of good football players on that team. Like I said, I've been a fan of them this year. I think they'll, get better and better as the year goes on. And kind of the chemistry, like we said, Tanner was 17 for 31, 145 yards, one TD. We just got to be so much better in that aspect. And 100%. By the time we, hopefully before the end of October, it's got to figure itself out. Because by that point, if we're not able to throw for, it's not going to be every week where we throw for 300 yards. But if we can't throw for over 200 yards, like if we really want to, I think at that point, the end of October, then we're probably just not a good passing football team, which is, like I said, it's not a terrible thing. But, I mean, you guys can hit on and let me know your thoughts on that.
But like, how do we get there though? I mean, like we've seen it, we've seen flashes of it. We know we got the playmakers, right? We got big body receivers. Like we saw, like Bryson Green made a couple really good catches this past week. Like we have the guy, Chim DK. We haven't seen him a whole ton, but we know he's there. You know what I'm saying? But like, how do we get there? Like, how do we take that next step in the passing game? Because as well as we were running the ball, the passing game should have been there. You know what I'm saying? But like, what does that look like? Because we know we can do it. And like, what needs to change? Yeah,
and I think that's what's so like DK is a good receiver. Like there's certain, and we know it, right? Like there's certain times you can see it with BA, and that's why you was talking about it, James, and I wanted to hit like even with him fumbling, I love to see coaches. You know what, like. It's a mistake. We lost it. Keep feeding them, right? Like that's where you get that confidence, and that's the same thing in the passing game. Like we've been missing the plays. Like Skylar Bell got behind the defense again this week, and we weren't able to connect. But throw it again, right? Like continue to give those guys the opportunities, and we have the guys on the outside to make the plays. I really just don't understand where the drop off is. But like you hinted on both, we gotta continue to somehow find whatever that issue is. We gotta get through that because we are going to need it 1,000%. We are going to need it down the stretch, man.
I don't know what it is. I think only them themselves, being in that building. They're really going to be the ones to kind of know and understand the coaching staff and the players why, the passing game isn't quite hitting on things, whether it's just the details, the drop back or Tanner maybe a little bit hesitant. I will say, we were talking about it at Big Ten, the center and quarterback snap is real slow. So I don't know if it's if that throws off the time a little bit, like with Tanner and all that, because it's almost like receivers are almost 5 yards down the field right when he's getting the ball. So I don't know if that throws things off. So if the
but he got time. It ain't like he ain't got time.
He got time. Yeah. He got time. But I don't know if that throws it off. Like, what I mean? If it throws off your progression, the receiver's already breaking before you're ready and all that. I don't know. That's a little minor detail, but something that we noticed this past weekend. But going forward, I think, we just got to protect the football on offense. Had another 2 turnovers this week. We playing those good football teams, like we said, especially this upcoming week playing against Iowa. That defense is good, man. They gonna capitalize on those mistakes. You throw the ball their direction, they go pick it, and as we've seen in the past, they go take it for 6 too. They done got us a few times when it comes to that situation. So got to protect the football better on offense if we want to be one of those football teams that's going to be in the Big Ten championship or a possible playoff picture down the road. But I will say another question that we had about was the running back 2 situation. Jackson Acker, I don't know how to exactly say his name. He looks like he's going to be the running back 2 for us. I like what I saw from him this past weekend. He's a big body guy. I'm gonna look like John Clay in my opinion. Look like Braylon Twin too a little bit. It's a big body guy. He's gonna get downhill. Looks like he has pretty good feet. I think the more repetition he gets, I think that'll be huge for us going forward. But now let's jump into the scouting report. So we all know what week this is. It's Iowa week. Battle for the Heartland Trophy. We all been a part of these battles right here. Sometimes it's in the middle of the year. Sometimes it was at the end of the year. But this is going to be another one of those games, a physical football game. Like, no matter what, our record is, no matter what their record is, like, all that gets thrown out of the window. Like, they have a great coach, Kirk Ferentz. He's been there for, 20-plus years. Obviously, we have a new coach, but like I said, their coaching staff has probably been the same for so long. So they know how to coach their players. They know what type of players they have on their football team. And it's going to be a tough game for us. And I think guys have to be geared up, ready to go from the beginning of the football game. I think offensively for them, they're not good offensively. There's no mystery, when it comes to that. But I think they're okay with that. They know their identity. They know they're not going to score 20+ points on offense. They're going to get it some type of way. They're going to create some turnovers on defense, flip the field position, kick field goals, maybe get a punt return that goes for a touchdown. They kind of know what they are. They're okay with that. And I see there's no problem with it. They've won ugly almost every game they've played. And like I said, it can be an ugly football game this week. It could be 14-10, it could be 13-7, and that's the type of game that Iowa wants to play this year. They want to make it ugly for you, see if you're going to be able to drive the ball down the field, see if you're going to be able to make those throws consistently on them. So it's going to be challenging on both sides of the ball. I mean, like I said, I think the defense should win this matchup by far. So if we're able to put some pressure on them, their quarterback, Deacon Hill, who's, the backup, but he's starting at this point, transferred from Wisconsin. So maybe some of the guys have some familiarity with him. Yeah. Maybe we can take advantage of that. But what do you guys see from this matchup? What do you think, is kind of the keys, or what do you see from the Iowa offense, defense? What's your expectations for this game?
Blitz them and heat them up, And I mean, and like you said, with him being a former player for the Badgers, we kind of know, you being around and practicing, what kind of person he is. And now this is where you work on some of those things, knowing that their passing game isn't as strong. I think this is one of those moments where you work on a lot of your man-to-man coverages and your cover zero, right? So those guys can get those reps in game. So I think, we should load the box. But it's always been tough to play Iowa, right?
No matter what.
No matter what's going on, it's always going to be, like you hinted to, it could be a 14-10. Last year was 24-10, and they got away from us. But it's always been one of those games where every possession is going to matter. And I think, we have to steal possessions on both sides of the ball. It's going to be extremely important, getting the ball into the red zone and in the end zone on the offensive side. But also, this is one of those games from a defensive standpoint. You can't underestimate, the team that you're going against just because on paper they're not sound and they're not as good on offense. This is one of those games where you're going to have to put your best foot forward. You're going to have to play your best ball, right? It's for a trophy. It's a rivalry week. Like, we've both played in these games. We've both, especially, playing at Iowa, we've both heard some crazy, all of us, we've heard some crazy things from those fans. Some crazy things that I wish we can't say what's being said. Like, it's wild, right? So it's a lot of animosity there. I think what's really cool is, like, I wonder if we still do the game between the equipment guys.
I think they still,
they still do it. Like,
toolbox
it's a lot of stuff.
Toolbox game.
The toolbox game. It's a lot of stuff that going on in the background that is so important. Like, I could legit remember being in the hotel room, like, on Twitter trying to check the scores, what's going on, right? You know what I'm saying? Updates. So I still check it too. So it's gonna be a fun week, but it's gonna have to be a complete game from all three phases.
What about you, Warren? What's your expectation? What do you see from Iowa? What do you think is going to be key for us to get a win? Like Sojourn kind of saying, they don't throw the ball very well, but this will be the week where they gonna scheme some trick
plays, smoking mirrors, something somewhere.
Definitely be ready for a trick play, rivalry game, all of that fake punt. They're gonna try and steal some possession somehow because they really struggle to score. And they've kind of struggled to run the football, throw the football in most weeks, but last week their running back just came back. Their starting running back from the beginning of the year came back after missing some time. He had 17 carries, 134 yards. He's a long strider, so that's going to be the key to me. You got to be able to slow him down. Don't give him a big play. You cannot, like the hole that they opened up last week against Purdue, that thing was like the size of a U-Haul truck, and obviously he just had to run straight and outrun the defense. So we can't have those type of plays and make it easy on him. We're gonna have to make him work for it. What do you think?
You know what? To be honest, I think it's got to be 4 quarters. And, that's the thing I've been thinking about. It's just, it's got to be a 4-quarter game. Anytime we play Iowa, bro, it's a tough, hard-nosed game. And it's the first person that make a mistake is the one that's going to lose. Yeah. So, with all of that energy and juice behind it, being a rivalry game, not only, now you got a starting quarterback used to play at Wisconsin. He's probably going to be juiced up for this game to play his former team. And then not to mention, they still do have playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, they run the ball really well. So this will be another test for our run defense. This is possibly a better running team than the one we just faced. So now build off of that, and let's see what we can do against Iowa up front. So I'm definitely going to put it on the front guys, but just as much safeties and linebackers because as we were talking about them scheming things up, they got possibly 2 of the best tight ends in the league or in the NCAA with Luke Lachey and Eric All, who just came from Michigan, who had a great year last year. Yeah. So, safeties and linebackers going to have to be on their P's and Q's too, especially in coverage. Obviously they don't throw the ball as well, and there's a possibility for turnovers. I want to say Deacon Hill is 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, so the possibility for turnovers in there is right, just like Sojourn said, heat them up, blitz them, you know what I'm saying? Force the turnovers. But it's definitely something where it's going to be a tough game, all 4 quarters, and you have to minimize mistakes.
Yeah. For me, the matchup that we're going to have to win is against Eric All. He's he's 6'4", he's a big body dude. He's their number 1 target. Can't let him. Once he does get the ball, we got to tackle him too because he's pretty aggressive when he gets the ball in his hands. Last week, the receivers had no receptions whatsoever. So to me, the onus is going to be none.
None, bro. That's the thing. They got them tight ends.
Only Eric All and the running back had 1 reception. That was it. Eric All had 5 catches and the running back had 1 catch. So for me, the onus is going to be on whoever gets that matchup, which most likely I would say probably be a safety or maybe even a corner. I don't know, whatever it may be. Though I wouldn't line a linebacker up against him. I think he'll probably win that matchup a lot of the time. But the onus is going to be on the defensive backfield because for me they can't fall asleep. They're probably going to be in a lot of man-to-man coverage, probably a lot of single high, all that good stuff. You can't fall asleep, double moves, pick routes. So I think the front seven is going to – obviously they know what type of game is going to be coming. They're going to try and run the football. They're not very good at throwing it. So to me as a DB, I think that's one of those games you really got to be on point. They're going to put some more of a little bit more of the burden. That's what we used to talk about with the Patriots. Somebody's going to have a little bit more of the burden, week in and week out. 1 week you maybe playing a little too high, so you got a little bit more help. On the outside this week, you're going to be playing a little bit more man covered, maybe a little bit of cover zero. So put a little bit more of the pressure on you to try and stop the run and eliminate things. So to me, that's going to be key for us. Just don't give them any easy big plays because that's what they want. They can't create them themselves, but if you get out your gap, if you just lose your man-to-man coverage, that's the type of plays that they're looking for. And they also got a good DB, Cooper DeJean. This kid's solid.
Yeah.
He's an impact player. Yeah, he's an impact player for him.
It's like Iowa always have. It's like they always have a good DB, right? Yes. From Desmond King. Yeah, I know they had a DB last year.
Michael Hyde.
Riley Moss.
Yeah, Michael Hyde. I mean, they've always had solid people in that secondary.
Who was the one dude who had the 2 pick sixes on? I forget his name.
I cannot. That's just one thing I always, I even just being a fan of college football, I've always admired that about Iowa and their system, right? Like, one thing I can tell you, and we're gonna see it, right? You're gonna get a lot of cover 3, and a lot on third downs. You're gonna get a lot of 2-man.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it like that's where we can't make the mistakes on offense, even in certain situations where turning the ball over and giving these teams like Iowa that technically aren't good on paper on offense, giving those short fields. Like people don't understand the possession and the field, like just the the fields that you have to either drive or like that is a huge part in the game, because you give those teams a chance that they're not good at driving the ball, but on short fields like 50 yards, 40 yards, turning the ball over X, Y, and Z, it shortens the field for them, and that's where they can get into rhythm and they can create those, those smoke and mirror plays that we're talking about, right? Where they're gonna be able to get they're gonna be able to get behind the coverage and run a trick play or something like that and get in the end zone. So it's gonna be interesting to see the battle that how we battle against their defense, because their defense has been traditionally known to be able to cause turnovers and put you in rough field positions.
Yeah, that's what they've done. I mean, he's had interceptions in back-to-back weeks. Last week, and they're gonna have a lot of eyes on the quarterback. It's gonna be a challenge for Tanner. They're gonna probably try and do a lot of disguise and try to make some tough throws. And I will say, he's not like I wouldn't say he's a shutdown man-to-man corner, but he's very good in zone. He's gonna be in the right place. You make an overthrow, it was a tip, he's gonna be there. He's gonna catch it too, and he got a good chance to return it. He had a big punt return against Michigan State 2 weeks ago to seal the game. So, he's really their impact player. He run down. He's probably on kick return too if they need it. Runs down as a gunner. So he's the guy who really kind of gets things going. He's the
football player.
Yeah. It's a spark plug for him. So definitely got to be keyed in on him and just probably don't want to throw it in his direction too often, because obviously Aaron throws. He's probably going to get it. Now let's jump into word on campus. It's like we said a little bit earlier. It's Heartland Trophy week, Iowa week. So I said we've all been a part of these games, a part of these weeks. So I kind of started off. I remember my first game against Iowa my freshman year. Man, it was rocking. They were a good football team. They had a really solid defense, a lot of playmakers like Micah Hyde, who we talked about, Adrian Claiborne. He was a big body defensive end. I don't know, Mike Daniels might have been. I don't know if he was there at the time.
Mike Daniels did go to Iowa.
Mike Daniels was there.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was definitely there.
Yeah, I think he was. So they
was Michael Hyde on that team too?
Yeah, Micah Hyde was.
Yeah, he was too. Yeah. Them boys was nice.
They had some.
Bro, they had Adrian Claiborne too for a while. That defensive end.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. And I remember me playing in that football game. I ended up getting hurt. I'll get to that in a little bit, but I think I got in the game. It might have been like our first possession or so. I wasn't locked in whatsoever. I think John Clay got hit on the sideline. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. They told me to get in there. I didn't know what down or distance it was or nothing. Threw me in the game. It was 3rd and 2. Me, I'm just thinking it's first down when I get the ball. I got the ball, tried to bounce it outside, tried to stiff arm a dude. He slung me on the ground, and I don't know. Was Coach Settle there at all with you, Soj? I don't know if he.
Yeah, so I got Coach Set. On the second go round with Coach Chris.
Yeah, and for any of you guys, Set a chill dude. He don't yell. He stay real calm, reserved. I just remember getting to that side. He's like, boy, what the? What are you? It's 3rd and 2. Just hit it up inside all that. I just remember I had no clue what the down of this was. I just wasn't tapped in whatsoever. Then, later on in the game, I don't know, it might have been before halftime, caught a little swing screen. The tackle missed he couldn't get out to the corner. He chopped me, then Claiborne landed on my leg. I thought my jump was broke. But so I didn't finish the rest of that game. But it came down to the wire. Monty had a heck of a performance.
Yeah.
He was prepared, ready to go, because, it was me and John Clay kind of at that point, and Monty had to kind of wait his turn and whatnot, but I give him a lot of credit. He was ready for that moment. That dude had some huge runs, including the game winner. At that point, it was rocking. I remember when we got the ball, I think we were down, I don't know, like 4 or 5, 6 points, something like that. We had to drive down and score to kind of seal the deal. But when we got that ball in that fourth quarter, it was like one of those day to night games. That jump was rocking, man. I don't think you couldn't hear nothing. But I said, Scott Tozine, Monty, the rest of the guys, they finally put it together. Monty broke like 3-4 tackles and reached for the end zone to score. So it's always going to be like typically one of those type of football games, last possession or if somebody makes a couple mistakes early on in the football game, then obviously the team ends up, putting away a little bit early. But what are some stories you guys can share to the people?
Your senior year, you had a big game against them, right? I remember you. I remember you touching paint against our senior year. But man, listen, the Iowa rivalry for me has just always been fun, right? Like it's just one of those games where, man, it's not comfortable being in the game because it's like, bro, you literally know like it'll be 14-10 in the fourth quarter with like 4 or 5 minutes left, and you literally know like, bro, any play, man, is gonna make or break.
Make it or screw it up.
Make it or, like when I tell you. And again, once I got there, I didn't really understand. To Wisconsin, I didn't really understand how big the rivalry was. But like you said, you guys have all been in such big games that it ended up meaning so much to you guys later in the year, whether that be getting to the Big Ten championship. And I got to get a taste of that. My interesting story, very, very interesting. I kind of just, should I share it? But, my freshman year, bro, I remember us playing at Iowa, and it was a TV timeout. And on their sideline, and I keep hearing this coach just talking crap in my ear. I'm like, and I finally look, and this was before, like, Aaron Hernandez had everything going on and all this stuff like that. And I looked, and I'm like I literally froze. I'm like, bro. So I end up, it was a third down, so we end up getting a third down, and I'm coming back to the sideline. And I remember telling Dez and like D Hill, and I'm like, bro, y'all gonna think I'm tripping. Like, I literally just seen Aaron Hernandez on Iowa's sideline. And they're like, and I'm a freshman, so at that time it's like you really don't need to even be talking or saying nothing. Shut up, like, because that was a good game, right? Like that, we ended up winning it convincingly, but it was one of those games where we kind of struck away in the fourth quarter. But I just remember I'm like, man, shut up, like, what are we playing Iowa? So then after the game, the game goes on after the game, and then I come to find out he had a older brother and everything. But it's just like, I don't know. That's just one of those memories.
They look alike.
They legit look like twins. So that's just one of those memories. What I'm saying? Like every time we play at Iowa, but that the infamous the year after that, with Melvin, where Melvin made some huge plays. But I legit remember like, me and Melvin, we really good friends. So whenever Mel would come off, on third down and we were punting the ball, I just remember literally telling him like, Mel, bro, please, just one more. Like, I just need one more possession.
We need one more out of you.
Just need one more out of you. But they had a safety. Like we talked about it. They had
what was his name?
They had a safety that year. When I tell you guys,
what was his name?
He was
a dog.
He was
bro.
James. He was crashing out, bro. Like, it literally looked, the whole week they told him, like, bro, you don't have no responsibility in the pass game, bro. Just wherever 25 is, bro, just hit him. Like, that's exactly what it looked like. So
that was 2015.
That was 2015. I want to say he was 37.
No, it was 2014. It was 2014.
It was 2014. It was 2014.
It was my senior year. It was my senior year.
It was Warren's senior year, and that ended up being a crazy. It was a night game. That was the first time we wore the all white jerseys with the white face mask, right?
Clean,
That was a clean. I felt like a stormtrooper out there.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, right? Like, just how music and everything. That's when OT Genesis came out with
37.
I want to say it was
John Loudermilk.
Yep, that was him. Yep.
Was it him or was it you sure it wasn't him?
I want to say it was 37, bro.
It probably was 37. You sound like
he a safety.
It just say DB, so I don't know.
That's him. But we wore those white jerseys with the white face mask.
Y'all was clean.
We was clean. OT Genesis came out with the Coco song, so they was playing that when we was coming out. Man, it's just some of the best, some of my best moments and memories just from college football just come from just playing in some of these rivalry games, man. But Iowa, I definitely got my fair share of stories to tell, just playing them, playing there, playing at Wisconsin. It's always a fun game to be a part of.
100%. What about you, Warren? You share any stories to the people about your battles in the trenches with the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Bro, I don't know. There's nothing. Them was some tough games. I probably came out them games the most sore, to be honest with you. Just like battling up front. I'm sorry, bro.
Hey, we need Cam and Mace on here.
Hey, bro.
Cam and Mace on.
I think, bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. It ain't funny to talk about concussions, bro. But I remember 2014 or 2013, on my first, I think my second season. But anyway, me and Pat Muldoon. I don't know if y'all remember Pat Muldoon.
Big Pat, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I took his stat. So we had a slant stunt, and I had the edge, and I came off through a move, saw the quarterback dead. If I had him dead to right, Pat had him on the other side. Pat beat him with the inside move, and Pat got there first. And bro, when I tell you, I remember it like it was yesterday, bro. I literally closed my eyes before I got there. And I hit him, bro, and I got him like, yeah. Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. My eyes, bro, I thought I had one eye open, one eye closed, bro. All I could hear was like that mosquito noise. I'm like, yeah. And I get off to the side and they say, sack on the play by one hand. I'm like, yeah. Pat pissed off on the sideline. Like, I was like, he's like, boy, you hit me. They showed the replay on the sideline, bro. I split Pat wide, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Hey, don't clip that, bro. Cut that, bro. But that was probably the hardest. Bro, that was probably the hardest hit of my life, bro. No lie, bro. That was probably the hardest hit of my life, bro. But there was that, and then I remember freshman year. I do remember freshman year. I'll make this one quick. Not freshman year, sophomore year. We about to play them at Iowa. And I remember Coach Partridge telling us, like, the whole week, he's like, bro, their offensive line plays laterally. They do this, like, scoop, like, reach block or whatever. It's like and everybody takes one bucket step and just, like, sprints down the line. And that was their bread and butter. And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, I can keep up with this. Like, that's why they put me up front. Like, I can move. I'm mismatched. Bro, when I tell you that first snap I took, bro, I probably got reached by 3 offensive linemen. I'm on the front side. I got scooped by the front side guard, the center and the backside guard, bro. Bro, Coach Partridge, bro, that probably went for like a 7-yard gain. Thank God the linebackers in the back on the backside covered us up, Borland and all them. But bro, we saw that junk on film, bro. Coach Partridge was yelling at my eyes, bro. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah. Can I say one thing, right? So it's funny that you talk about their O-line doing stunts, bro. So your senior year, 14, right? We played at Iowa. That was a night game. They had a lineman. He ended up getting drafted in the first round. I think his name was Sharif.
Yeah, Brandon Scherf.
Brandon Scherf, right? He ended up getting drafted.
Brandon Scherf.
So I'm on the backside by myself, literally by our sideline, James. They pull him. Bro, so it at the time, right? Like I'm probably like $170, bro. It's like, bro, it's crazy. So they pull him. It's me and him 1-on-1. I try to beat him with speed and get outside. Like it's one of those situations like you got to make a business decision. I'm like, bro, I'm not fooling with him. So I go outside and he grabbed me, and he didn't have to do this, but like he literally like drove me 20 yards, like he like the whistle blowing and everything, bro. And he drove me, and I end up just like in my head, I'm like, Jay, just fall, right? Yeah. So if I fall, it ain't gonna be bad. He ended up falling on my shoulder, and bro, that junk hurt so bad. But it's just something that, like, bro, it's just hearing you say that, Warren, just about like their stunts and everything, it just brought that back to my attention. It's like that did not feel good at all, and them people. It's gonna be a trenches matchup. Like I don't think people understand what go on in them trenches, especially on the defense, like the D back side. Like we don't want to be a part of that, especially when you got the big boys pulling like that. It ain't no fun.
And them the games you like too, cause like especially up front, like it ain't no trash talking, it ain't none of that. It's like we gonna handle this here and right now. Like, we ain't talking.
That's
right. Let the pass talk. Those used to be my favorite games where we used to knock up front.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's big week for the Badgers. Like I said, a lot, weighs on this Big Ten West right here. Iowa, Wisconsin, we're right there in the front. So if we can get this win, we can kind of separate ourselves from the rest of the pack who's still trying to figure it out. So hopefully walk away with a dub. They got us last year. So like I said, no matter what their offense looks like, what our offense looks like, defense on both sides, It's one of those games, just never know what's going to happen. But that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Camp Randall Platoon podcast. Like, subscribe. Hopefully we can get Melvin Gordon on here next week so he can share some of them stories from them Iowa games, because he was committed to Iowa too, which makes it even more interesting. So that's probably why the fans was hot. So make sure you like, subscribe, let us know what you want to hear from us.
It's probably why they was headhunting my dog.
True.
Bounties.
Supposed to be teammates.